Hi everybody, I wanted to pop on really quickly and introduce our first case study for the semester, Routh Custom Countertops, and remind everyone that this is a team case. So every team should submit a case for grading, but one team will also present this to the class. So this is one of your presentations. So please make sure you know who you are and what you need to be doing in this case study. All right, so really quickly, I want to go over the learning objectives for the case and what you need to submit for grading. All right, so the learning objectives is we'll learn more about job order costing and in what sort of settings is job order costing suitable. All right, we'll learn the usefulness of a contribution analysis, which you've already been looking at. So sales minus variable cost is contribution margin. From that, we would subtract fixed costs to get operating income. So under which circumstances is this type of analysis appropriate and when it is an appropriate decision aid? The flow of costs through a company's accounts and financial statements. So some of you may see this more than others, depending on whether you choose to use T accounts or not. And then the basic principles involved in the absorption of overhead costs by a product or job. So we've also been looking at this, the application of overhead, how we calculate that, and how much goes into each job based on what factors. Okay, so those are the learning objectives for the case. So what is the assignment and what is required of you? So the first thing you want to do is produce a job cost sheet that includes all of the jobs in this case. So that would be A3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So those are all the jobs. All this is in the case study. If you haven't read the case study yet, this is probably seem a little odd, but once you read the case, this will become a little bit more clear. So all this is in there. You don't need to be writing any of this down, and the video will be available to you. You can come back and watch if you need to. So in the greatest detail possible, you'll also submit 2 balance sheets. Remember, the balance sheet is the financial statement that is prepared as of one day in time. So what are our assets on September the 1st? What are our liabilities on September the 30th? So as of that particular day in time, what is our balance sheet? So assets, liabilities, and owner's equity. So we need 2 balance sheets, one as of September the 1st and one as of September the 30th. You'll also produce an income statement for the period of September. So remember, the income statement is for a period of time. Okay, so you don't have to worry about taxes in that. There's also one short answer question that I want you to submit. And that is, should Tom Jr. have accepted the job for $1,500? So in other words, should a job, which on a full costing basis that cost $1,625, be sold for $1,500? How could such a sale have actually saved their competitor, which was Moran? Okay, so that's what we're going to be looking at in this case study. So here is the job cost sheet you will complete. Now remember, nothing handwritten is accepted, so you will need to reproduce everything in Excel and complete it there. But this is what your job cost sheet will look like when you get finished with it in Excel. So you'll have your direct materials, your direct labor, and your overhead for each job, your finished goods, and your work in process. Then you'll total those up down at the bottom. So in other words, the job cost sheet is just showing us what costs are involved with each job. Has overhead been applied to these jobs? What is the overhead, etc.? So remember, direct materials and direct labor are prime cost, direct costs that can be traced right back to a product. So those are traceable, but the overhead piece has to be applied. It's applied overhead. All right, so here is a template for our financial statements that we need in this case study. So notice that I have included here a simpler balance sheet where you can just create one basically with columns for the time period or the day that you need to have the balance sheets created for. So it makes it much simpler and more streamlined. Now remember, this has to be done in Excel as well. So what you could be thinking is you could create one Excel workbook and have a different tab for the balance sheets, for the income statement, and for the short answer, and for the job cost sheet. So you can get it all in one Excel file, but on different workbook or different worksheets. And then down here at the bottom is the income statement for the period of September the 30th. So very simple income statement. You do not need to be adding any accounts that aren't listed on this template. Okay, so include everything just as you see it here. Don't add any extraneous accounts that you create on your own. If, for example, in the balance sheet, we have assets of our inventory account, our raw materials, our work in process. So all other assets except for those should be included in that all other line. Okay, so don't create something that's not there. Lastly is the T accounts I told you about. Some of you may choose to use these T accounts in the case study. Some of you may not. This is not required. So if you are not friendly with T accounts, like some of us are not, then you don't bother with them if you don't find them helpful. Some of you may find them helpful in that they help you understand the case and how costs are flowing. If it is helpful, please use it as a tool. You do not and should not submit this as part of your case study, okay? But if you find them useful, please use them. And lastly, what do you need to submit? You need to include the job cost sheet. Again, all this needs to be recreated in Excel. So a job cost sheet, your 2 balance sheets, your income statement for the month of September, your short answer response, and T accounts, do not include those. Those should not be included, but you can use them if you find them helpful. All right, so as always, as you're going through this, if you have questions that pop up, please let me know what those are. I trust that you will enjoy the case study and get lots of learning from it. But again, good luck with that. And if you have questions, please let me know what those are.